I know you said that you had seen Mos Def in Washington Square Park and you would see him in Lyricist Lounge. Where did you guys exactly meet?
I met Mos Def in Washington Square Park.
Okay.
He used to wear like these gabardine suits and go on acting auditions. And we used to see him on TV in little TV commercials.
Right.
And while we would all scrounge for like Big Macs, we used to be in McDonald's all the time.
Right.
We would scrounge for Big Macs. Mos Def.
Broadway.
Yeah.
Right.
He'd buy everybody Big Macs in the park.
From the little acting checks he was getting. Well, not little, but
yeah, that's where I met. He was like.
But gabardine though?
Yeah, that was sharp.
That was his shit?
Yeah, that's why it's bug. He's like when people be like, oh, Mos Def changed. He acting now wearing suits and. That's how he was when I met him. That's what he was doing. And hip hop was always on the side. Right. Yeah.
So did you know he could spit at the time though?
I think he might have been my favorite rhymer to listen to in the ciphers.
Right.
Like what he was coming with was some different shit to me. And then I seen him on TV with Urban Thermodynamics.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, that's the dude from the park. Right. He wasn't Mos Def then. He was Dante Bazet. And it was like D Bazet. And I'm like, oh, that's the dude Dante from the park.
Right.
And then by the time he did the Rawkus thing, it was Mos Def. But the Rawkus cats went to school with John Forte.
Okay, so this is all still.
Yeah.
Everybody's still NYU, Washington Square Park, Broadway.
Oh yeah, this whole
Tower Records, that whole
private
school right there.
Right.
Right.
They went to Brown. They left Exeter, went to Brown University. Jarret and Brian. They started their label Rawkus. John Forte was the first A&R. So he brought these two white boys to Crown Heights, and we sat in his apartment drinking 40, smoking. And everybody rapped for Jarret and Brian as they were starting Rawkus.
An audition.
Yeah.
Over 40s.
Over 40s.
Okay, nice.
There's like 30 niggas in this one apartment.
Nice, going hard, right?
Going hard, because everybody thinking you about to get a record deal.
Was it AC in the bed?
Nah, man, it was summertime too. It was summertime too, I remember that.
It was Amistad.
I didn't rap for them.
You didn't rap?
Nah, because I felt like I was like, I didn't like the scene. I was there, but I was like, I wasn't vying. I think I had been to the Village too much. It was we were in Brooklyn. I think I had seen it a lot that I was, and these two white boys were, they have a label, word, okay, whatever. Okay. And so that's how I met them. Okay. So 2-3 years later when Mos Def was like, Rawkus, I'm like, Jarret and Brian, they got money?
Right.
He's like, yeah. So I went to see them, and I was like, and I played them my EP.
Okay.
And they liked it, they was cool on it, but then they heard Fortified live as I was trying to skip past it because I didn't want to play that for them.
Right.
I was like, that's my, because I was proud.
Right.
I was, you need to hear me rap first. My shit need to come out, and then my shit with Mos Def and Mr. Man.
Right.
But I wanted to stand on my own. It's not like now where your first single got to have all the hot rappers. Back then it was a point of pride to like I could stand on my own. And they was like, Brian was like, we need to put that one out. And I'm like, nah. Because then niggas gonna think that I'm using these niggas for a crutch.
Right.
And they was like, no, man, like we have a record with Mos Def, people like him. It'll be a good introduction to you. He's explaining record business to me in general. Right. And I wasn't trying to hear it.
Right.
I was like, nah, my first single needs to be just me. You know what I'm saying? And they won that argument. And so Fortified Live was my first.
Okay, and they convinced you. Yeah. Now, how did that morph into? I'm imagining that morphed into Black Star. Yes or no?
Yes. Right. Now that we had a record, we were getting. He was doing Lyricist Lounge. I was doing Lyricist Lounge. We'd get booked together. Right. And even if we didn't get booked together, I'd show up at his shows. Right. He'd show up at my shows to the point where people expected to see us together. So, and it was a stage thing. And so most actually came up with the idea like maybe we should do a group thing. But Jarret from Rawkus was like, yo, instead of us putting out a Mos Def solo album and you come with this Reflection Eternal project, we think we should do a group thing because people kind of checking for both of y'all to raise the profile. Right. And so that's where the Black Star came. Now,
all throughout the process though, were you fighting it in a sense?
They said, we'll give you $30,000 to do a Black Star album, all in. I could never imagine anyone would give me $30,000. Right. So even though my focus was Reflection Eternal, I quickly switched focus.
The 30,000 convinced you, like we could.
Like, okay, I'll do this Black Star thing. Sure, let's do this. And I mean, Mos Def was, I still revered him. Like I'm still a fan at this. I'm still a fan to this day. Right. But I'm like, okay, this is my man, and I'm a fan of his. This is gonna be great.
Right. The Black Star album comes out, and it's well received. It's critically acclaimed. You guys are
classic.
You guys are now the new faces of Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? Like the Jay-Z's were on a whole different level, but you guys are like the new faces of Brooklyn. So like, do you feel now that the universe is trying to force y'all to be a group?
That's an interesting way to put it, because we both have said in interviews, we can't rush it, we can't force it, it's gotta be organic. Right. And I think that's true. I'm a fan of the group just like everybody else, But no, I don't think the universe is trying to force it. I just think it was the right moment in time. I think Black Star represented all of that stuff, like Lyricist Lounge, Sound Bombing.
Right.
Black Star was the vinyl, the fact that Rawkus put it on vinyl, it was all that together, represented what a lot of people felt and wanted to say in the Jiggy era, but didn't have an outlet to say. And Rawkus took a very indie underground mentality and put it on a level where we competed with the Diddy's of the world.
You got a platform now.
They spent that money, you know, and so it made people feel like, yeah, I like that.
Were you guys at the time anti-industry?
No, I mean, keep in mind, I came into business with Diddy. You know, this is somebody I knew. You know, I was there when Diddy brought Biggie to Lyricist Lounge. To me, it was never separate. It was just a down by law thing. It was, and when I got to Rawkus, it was like that. But what happened with Rawkus is, and that whole Fondle 'em, ABB, that whole era of independent vinyl, the Fat Beats era, is that hip hop developed a new class of people who didn't feel comfortable with the jiggy shit in the club and all that. Even though I knew that world because I worked in the clubs.
You saw them in Lyricist. You saw Biggie in Lyricist Lounge,
And I mean, I saw Biggie. I smoked a blunt with Biggie and Tupac in the club. Like I was at all them spots. But
what's the conversation with you and Biggie and Tupac smoking a blunt, man?
You know, it wasn't no real conversation. I was just in the cipher. You know what I'm saying? Like, Sarah Jones was there. You know what I'm saying? Like, Biggie used to have a crush on Sarah Jones. Like he used to.
No dry snitching though.
My idea of smoking a blunt with Biggie and Tupac for you would probably be like, they would probably be on you to pass it. Like, yo, pass that already, man. Like,
well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you, it was like John Forte, C Knowledge from Diggable Planets. It'd be like, you know, Biggie and Tupac were superstars. And I was in the cipher. I'm just sitting there in the cipher. Wow, I'm here with, I'm in the booth with Biggie and, you know, and somebody pass you the blunt. Like, oh shit, I'm smoking with Biggie. Oh shit. That's what it was like. I wasn't at the level where I was in the conversation. I was just in the cipher.
You just,
you know what I'm saying?
Take two and pass.
If you zone out for a second, I'm sure Biggie or Tupac would have said, yo, pass that back, man. Stop bogarting that.
That's exactly what would happen.
What happened to Rawkus, man? Because Rawkus was the label of promise for cats that were on that side like that.
Rawkus, that's my peoples, you know, and I love them to death for the opportunity they gave me, but they certainly lost their way. It used to be, I used to be in me as a Rawkus, you'd be like, fuck radio. We don't need radio, fuck radio.
F your radio.
Then it used to be, then once after Simon Says, we need radio. We need to spend money on radio. We need to pay for this DJ to do that. We need to do this. Then it was like, Coogee Rap, you need to do a record with Jagged Edge because Jagged Edge is popping on the radio. And Last Emperor, you need to do some push-ups.
They got turned out by radio.
They got turned out by radio.
So who they have you try to have you do records with, man?
They didn't try to have me. They tried to have me change my name after 9/11.
What to what?
They said, you know, are you sure you want to be Talib Kweli?
So what was your name supposed to be?
Oh, I mean, we never got that far into the conversation. It was like, huh, really, y'all? All right.
Okay, but if you had to change your name,
I don't know. T Biggity, baby.
T Biggity.
T Biggity.
Get ready for combat. No escaping.